Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of AEW Dynamite for Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. We have AEW All In Texas this Saturday. NoDQ.com will have live coverage of the event sometime between 7 and 8 o'clock Eastern on Saturday. Then we have Saturday night's main event. Then we have Evolution. It is going to be a very busy weekend. After I give my thoughts on Dynamite, I will give my predictions for AEW All In Texas. Let's get to Dynamite first. We opened up the show with the final face-off between Mercedes Moné and Timeless Toni Storm. All of Mercedes's titles were on display in the ring. She said she wanted a civil talk with Toni. Toni was backstage with the butler. Mercedes called Toni a mark. Toni came to the ring. Mercedes wanted a toast because she is going to be the future world champion. Toni told Mercedes to save the bullshit for her entrance. Toni called Mercedes a fraud, and then Mercedes said that she made the devil her bitch. And the more people hate her, the more she wins. She said nothing is going to stop the Moné train. She said she's the one-woman revolution. And Toni brought up how legacies don't matter since we are all going to die. Mercedes fears an ordinary life, while Toni only fears an ordinary death. And then Mercedes said that this Sunday, yes, she said Sunday, but quickly corrected to Saturday, and the crowd chanted, "You effed up." She said, "May the best woman win." They did have their toast, but then Toni said, "Eat shit, bitch." Tried to get the best of Mercedes, but Mercedes managed to escape the ring and get away from Toni for the time being. Segment was fine. It was the usual issue that I have with these segments where it feels like they are performing in a high school play, especially Mercedes. I thought they did a decent enough job, though. I'm looking forward to the match. I think it will be one of the best women's matches in AEW history. And I will give my prediction on it in just a few moments, so stay tuned until after the Dynamite thoughts have wrapped up. We had Jon Moxley backstage cutting another one of his rambling promos in the shadows. He said that Page is pathetic and Page only has one chance to prove him wrong. And like it or not, Page is all the way in. Blah, blah, blah. The founding fathers, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, or Rod and Todd Flanders, as Matthew likes to refer to them as, they showed up in their limousine. We then had our first match of the evening, which was Bandito and Brody King versus Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. This was one of those matches that was predictable to me. Kyle Fletcher's not losing when he's challenging for the TNT title on Saturday. Takeshita is also going for Bandito's title, so you don't want him losing. It was a good match, though. Brody did a dive to both men, and Brody built up some momentum, doing some of his power moves. Then Kyle managed to get the upper hand. They double-teamed Bandito, but then you had all four guys in the ring. Brody King ended up being sent over the barricade, and then Bandito went for a tornado dive, but got caught with a shot from Takeshita, and then Takeshita pinned him with the Raging Fire. Takeshita is challenging Bandito for the Ring of Honor title this weekend. I could see a title change with that, but really they should be doing more with Takeshita. I just can't see Takeshita losing to Bandito at this point. It's one thing if Jericho loses. Chris Jericho, by the way, I do not miss Jericho at all. Just throwing that out there. I think he's done all he can do in AEW. But somebody like Takeshita, it's weird for me because I feel like he should be in a higher position than being the Ring of Honor champion. But at the same time, I don't think he should be losing to Bandito. But yeah, he gets the win here. Maybe he does lose to Bandito. I don't know. I really don't care about the match because I just don't care about Ring of Honor at this point. But like I said, good match. We had a backstage segment with FTR and Christian's patriarchy. They made a little bit of a deal to scratch each other's backs. FTR's not in the match at All In for some reason, and Stokely wasn't too happy about it. I actually agree with him. Why do we not have a four-way for the tag titles? Yes, they did add Christian and Nick Wayne, which I guess adds a little bit more intrigue because Hurt Syndicate could lose without being pinned. But we'll talk about that more here in just a minute. Next up, we had Ricochet versus Blake Christian. Blake Christian is a thing for some reason. Like, he's a good wrestler, but he screams opening match. And I really don't see more than that for him. He did get in some offense, and then we had the Gates of Agony interfering, and they provided a distraction, but Blake managed to get in some more offense. He did the springboard 450. Ricochet kicked out of that, and then Ricochet made his comeback. He hit the Spirit Gun and then the Vertigo, got the 1-2-3 victory, and then the Gates of Agony attacked Blake after the match. So I guess they're the guys that are going to be part of Ricochet's group, which I do not care about the Gates of Agony whatsoever. This is like a great value version of the Final Testament. AOP, I didn't care much about them, and I care even less about the Gates of Agony. And shout out to Ian, who sent in a $2 super chat. I will get to that when I talk about the main event segment, so stay tuned for that. We had a video package for Kenny Omega and Okada. Nothing else with them on the show, just a straight-up video package. I like that. Keep you guessing a little bit for who's going to win. You don't really need to do a big angle to do a final sell for the match. We then had an MJF segment with Mark Briscoe that they referred to as the Talky-Talk. The Talky-Talk. Okay. And they were advertising this. Tonight on Dynamite, there's going to be a Talky-Talk. This is not how you get new viewers to the show. That's about as uncool of a build for a segment that I could recall in a while. Let's tune in for the Talky-Talk. Very weird. But anyways, they're doing the whole tiny pickle thing with MJF. He really is Miz at this point. It's the same thing as the tiny balls, but it's a tiny pickle instead. And you got Sign Guy, who's at the AEW shows now, with the tiny pickle sign. MJF mocked Texas with the accent, and he told Briscoe to take the walkie walk to his meth lab in Delaware. Then Briscoe said that MJF needs a country ass whooping. Briscoe said he's proud to be a redneck. He said MJF is morally bankrupt. He has no soul, and he was prepared. He expected MJF to talk about his brother who passed away, Jay Briscoe, and MJF said he would never talk bad about Jay Briscoe. He said Jay Briscoe, one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, a special place in heaven for him. But he has pity for Jay because Jay is having to see what Mark has become, a joke. MJF said Jay would be rolling in his grave, and if Jay was there back on Earth, he would say that it shouldn't have been him in the accident. It should have been Mark. Now, of course, Mark did not like this. I guess he wasn't prepared for this line, but you should be prepared for any kind of a cheap insult from MJF. Mark attacked him. Hurt Syndicate arrived. Jet Speed went after them. MJF fled. And the beatdown continued on the Hurt Syndicate, who were attacked from behind. Jet Speed used the titles. And then Christian's group came down. They joined in. They attacked MVP, and they gave concertos to Bobby Lashley's leg. So this is very odd to me. I mean, they're obviously trying to build up the other teams as best they could, but which team am I supposed to root for now? Lashley's group have been positioned as heels, but here they were attacked from behind, and then Christian came out there. They did the concertos to Lashley's leg. So now it feels like we're supposed to have sympathy for the Hurt Syndicate. They got jumped from behind, and the other team's trying to injure them and take them out. So very weird buildup. And we know Christian's team are heels. So maybe Christian's team are the heels. Lashley's team are the tweeners, and Jet Speed are the baby faces, even though they just get beat up. And as I expected, one of the guys, Kevin Knight, beat Shelton Benjamin, which I figured that would happen, but whatever. It was odd to me. It all felt a bit messy, and I don't really know who I'm cheering for, but I'm not changing my prediction on this one, and we'll talk about that in just a few moments. We had a four-way match for the number 2 or number 1 spot. I think it's number 2. I mean, it's basically the same thing. Spot in the women's casino gauntlet match. We had Megan Bayne versus Thekla, the Spider Lady, and then Queen Aminata and Melo. Apparently, Tony Khan doesn't have a spot for Britt Baker, but we got Queen Aminata and Melo on the show. I don't know. We had Chris Statlander, who got the other spot. She was out there watching the match. And it was mostly dominance from Megan Bayne, but the other women did get in some moves. At one point, we had Megan tossing Thekla to the outside onto the other two. Then we had Megan sent out of the ring, and Thekla speared Melo, but then Queen Aminata broke it up. And then Penelope Ford, who was the sidekick of Megan, tried to interfere. Then Anna Jay, who is the sidekick of Melo, went after her. And then Megan Bayne took advantage of all the distractions and pinned Queen Aminata with the running power bomb. And her and Statlander had a little stare down after the match was over. They're the first two entrants in the match. At this point, I think I have a prediction, and I'll get to that again in just a few moments when I do my predictions for the show. We had Samoa Joe versus Wheeler Yuta, Wheelie, as Matthew likes to call him. The crowd was chanting, "Get a haircut" at Wheeler Yuta. I just don't care about Wheeler Yuta at all. He is very much like your low-level sidekick wrestler. He's like Disco Inferno for the Death Riders. He really is. He did get in some offense on Joe, so it wasn't one-sided. He started biting the ear of Joe, but Joe just got fired up, put him in the Coquina clutch, and got the win. After the match was over, Gabe Kidd, whatever his name is, he attacked Joe, and then the Opps, Shibata and Hobbs, made the save for their leader, and that set us up for our main event match of the show. Page, Ospreay, Shibata, and Hobbs against the Young Bucks, the Founding Fathers, whatever we're calling them, Jon Moxley and Claudio. Now, Page really wanted to get his hands on Moxley. His temper got the best of him early on. Then things, of course, broke down. Page did a moonsault onto everybody and kept his momentum going after the break. But then the Bucks managed to gain the upper hand. A table was set up on the outside of the ring, and the Bucks super kicked Hobbs, and that allowed Moxley and Claudio to powerbomb Hobbs through that table, getting him out of the picture. And Shibata was the legal man at this point. The Bucks hit the EVP trigger to him, and then Moxley came in, did the Bulldog submission, and got the win. Moxley wins on the go-home show, although we had more afterwards. We did have some more stuff here. You had Gabe Kidd and Yuta coming back out there. And they had a chain, and then they got the plastic bags. We were going to have a little bit of suffocating on the show. But Page and Ospreay were saved because Swerve Strickland was outside of the building. And the Bucks' limo was there. Swerve was in one of these construction vehicles that has the thing you dig with. I'm not sure what it's called. You know, you dig out the dirt. What the hell are those things called? I don't know. I was never in construction, but he took this thing and he literally used it to smash the Young Bucks' limousine. Basically a throwback to the Attitude Era, a crane, whatever you want to call it. He smashed the Bucks' limo. Very much like an old school Attitude Era segment when Steve Austin would destroy a vehicle. People are saying it's called a backhoe. Thank you, Jerry and Dwayne. I did not know that. That's how little I know about construction. I never played with those trucks when I was a kid. Never knew what they were actually called. I guess they're called a backhoe. And the Bucks were very upset. They ran to the backstage area, but Swerve outsmarted them. You had Prince Nana there as a distraction, and Swerve gave them both the Swerve stomp. So on the go-home show, Swerve got the upper hand on the Bucks. What does that mean? Well, stay tuned. The fight continued in the ring, by the way. Samoa Joe was out there, and then Page went for the buckshot lariat on Moxley, but Claudio took the bullet. Then we had the stare down between Moxley and Page. Page got the chain, wanted to fight right there, but then Marina Shafir got Moxley to leave the ringside area, and Page and the good guys stood tall as Dynamite went off the air. A little bit of a chaotic ending to the show. I did like it, but it was a little bit all over the place. And I will give them credit for this. I'm not really sure what to make of these segments. Like, I'm more confused as far as my predictions go. So in that case, I think they did an all right job because I really don't know. I'm used to the type of segments where somebody is dominant over the other, and they didn't do that for the most part, and I'll give them credit for that. Overall, I give Dynamite what I think I've been giving it, a 6 out of 10. Good show overall, a solid go home, not the best I've seen, a little bit of a mixed bag, but overall, I did like the show, and it got me guessing a little bit for a few of these matches, and I guess that's a positive. So there you go. So Ian says, does the ending change your pick for Adam Page and Jon Moxley? The answer is no, and I will explain here in just a few moments why. I had a strong opinion on it, and I'm mostly sticking to it. Again, I don't think there was anything too decisive in this last segment that is persuading me to change my pick. But I'll talk about that more when I give my actual prediction for the match. Thank you for the super chat, Ian. I appreciate it. And I'll get to that a little bit more in just a few moments. Let's do the predictions now for All In Texas. I want to start at the bottom and go to the top with these match predictions. So we got the women's casino gauntlet, and this one's hard to predict because I don't know all of the participants. I feel like the number 1 or number 2 entrant will not win both matches, but based off of the lineup right now, Megan Bayne seems like the best bet. I feel like I'm going to have to think about this one and see all the names that are out there. But Megan feels like their future star if they have one. She's dominant. She's got a good look. I would go with her, but I'm not committing to a prediction until I see the full lineup. Now, as far as the men's go, I feel like MJF has to win. MJF is needing to be in the world title picture, especially if a good guy wins the world title in the near future. Not necessarily All In Texas, but I feel like MJF has to win that match. Now, people are speculating about Eddie Kingston. It would be cool if he showed up. I think there's a better chance Darby Allin shows up and maybe Darby Allin wins it. I feel like Darby Allin will be on this show, either in the Battle Royal or the Gauntlet match, whatever they're calling it, or the main event, the Texas Death Match. But yeah, I do think we are going to see Darby Allin appear somewhere on this show. And I guess he would be my second pick to win it. But I may revisit this in the next couple of days and give a different pick to Noah Foster, depending on how many people they announce for this one. We got the tag team title match, Young Bucks versus Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. I will say this, I don't know. I feel like this is a toss-up. And to AEW's credit, the segment on the show with Swerve destroying their vehicle made me more confused because I was initially leaning towards Swerve and Ospreay, but now I'm not so sure. It's interesting to me because the stipulation is that if Ospreay and Strickland lose, they cannot challenge for the world title for up to a year. Now, here's the thing. If a babyface is champion, then there's really no need for Swerve and Ospreay to be going for that title. Plus, I have a thought process on another match, and because of that, I am going to say the Young Bucks win this one. The Young Bucks win. Swerve and Ospreay cannot go for the titles. You got blood and guts at some point, so maybe they can put their careers on the line or something, and then maybe get opportunities at the world title again, like something like that. Or they move on to different storylines for the time being. I'm going to go on a long shot here and say the Bucks win it. And I'll go into a little bit more in just a minute. We got the AEW TNT title match, Adam Cole versus Kyle Fletcher. Am I the only one that feels that this title run of Adam Cole has been really lackluster? Like, he barely appears on Dynamite, and I can't even remember much of his title reign. I know he beat Daniel Garcia, but yeah, I think it's been a bit of a bust. So I'm going to say Fletcher wins. Fletcher's the guy they're trying to build as the future of the company. I think Kyle Fletcher has to win this one. If he loses to Adam Cole, like, where do you go with Kyle Fletcher from here? He didn't beat Ospreay in the feud, and they really are trying to act like Fletcher's the future of AEW. So if that's the case, Fletcher's got to win this one. Tag team titles, the three-way match. Hurt Syndicate's winning. I'm very confident in that. Even though it's a three-way, I actually think the idea of a three-way is not bad to throw people off and make you think, well, Hurt Syndicate can lose the titles without being pinned. But, I mean, they really tried to make it look like the Hurt Syndicate are in trouble. The concertos to Lashley's leg and the title belt attacks from Jet Speed. Hurt Syndicate's winning. I feel very strongly on that one. And maybe we finally get Nick Wayne turning against Christian. I still think we're getting that Cope and Christian reunion. We do have All Out in Toronto in September. And I think that's when we're going to get the Christian and Cope reunion in Toronto. To me, that makes sense. And I screwed up here and didn't even notice it, but I have the No DQ review up on the top. And it should not be there because this is not the No DQ review. So my bad. Botch, as Noah Foster would say. All right, we got a couple more matches here to discuss. Okada versus Kenny Omega. Unified title, winner takes all. Should be a great match. I think that they'll probably live up to the matches that they've done over the past few years. Not few years, like more like 6-7 years ago. I think they'll deliver. I think they'll put on a great match. It's going to get the 6-star rating. Yeah, I think they'll tear the house down. I think Omega wins. I do not see Okada winning. Omega is like the heart and soul of AEW, and I think he'll win it, and he'll be the champ. And I could see Ospreay and Swerve potentially feuding with Omega at some point. I mean, we haven't really seen much of Ospreay and Omega in the United States, so I feel like that match will take place at some point, and that will keep Ospreay busy and away from the world title. That's my prediction at this point, and maybe we even get Swerve and Page as a team at some point. I don't know. But anyways, that's what I'm thinking. Omega wins this one. And then Timeless Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné for the Women's Championship. No real dominance shown on Dynamite. Mercedes was able to escape from Toni. Toni did get her music playing, but I think Toni will win. I think Toni will retain her title. If Mercedes loses, she still has the TBS title and her other 10 titles. Plus, everybody's all talking about how Mercedes allegedly has creative control. Well, if Toni wins, that'll shut up some of the haters. Some of the haters, not all of them, of course, but I think some people would be satisfied if Mercedes lost this one. If she wins, then, the internet's just going to do their thing and be LOL, Mercedes Hogan wins, blah, blah, blah. I think Toni wins. Mercedes doesn't need the win. Should be a hell of a match. Could be the best women's match in the history of the company. I do think they have that potential. And then the main event, Jon Moxley versus Hangman Page. Death match in Texas. I don't see Page losing in Texas. It feels very much like WrestleMania 40, where you're going to have all the interference, but in the end, Page will somehow overcome it. And maybe this is where Darby Allin returns, either here or the Gauntlet match. But I could see Darby showing up here at the end and being the difference maker and helping Page get rid of all the other guys that are attacking him. And then Page finishes off Moxley. We're going to have all the interference, the blood, the violence. But yeah, this is AEW's WrestleMania. So I really feel like we have to get the happy ending here. You want people to come out of this show with a good feeling. That's why I feel like, for the most part, the baby faces will win. That's why I feel like Page will win and Toni Storm will win. So there's a positive vibe. Like, the last thing you want is All In's over and people are just like, oh, there you go. Mercedes wins again. She never loses. She's got creative control. They're keeping this Death Rider storyline going on forever with the title in the bag. You don't want those negative headlines. You want, finally, Mercedes loses. Finally, Moxley loses. Maybe now I can give Dynamite another shot. And this is the thought process from fans. I think you have to go with the happy endings here. People are not convinced, though, that we're getting the happy ending. But I think they're going to go with that. It's AEW's WrestleMania. You want fans to have a positive feeling at the end. And it's a critical time. Like, it feels like AEW is slowly starting to pick up steam. You don't want a negative buzz at the end of this show. You got to play it safe, go with the feel-good moments. So I'm going to say it. Page wins and Toni wins. I don't know about the tag match. Would not shock me if the Bucks win it. But hey, maybe it's a clean sweep and the baby faces win all three of those matches, just to make sure the fans are happy and there's a minimal amount of complaints. All in all, I'm hyped for the show. It's an afternoon show, which I'm a fan of, although I got to do Saturday night's main event too. By the way, live streams. There'll be one around 7 o'clock whenever All In ends. And then after Saturday night's main event, there will be another stream. 2 streams in one day. It's going to be a very busy day. So thank you guys for your continued support of No DQ. I'm excited for All In. I'm giving it 8 out of 10. I'd be happy if I knew these were all the matches and they were not adding any more. Like, I'd feel really good about that. Like, they don't need more matches. If they start piling up more matches, I'm going to feel like it's a bit overkill. But for now, as it is, I think it's a very strong card and could be their best show of the year. We'll see what happens. If I was in Texas, anywhere near Dallas, I'd buy a ticket. I would recommend it. I think it's going to be a great show. Thank you guys for watching tonight. I appreciate the viewership and support. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Tell a friend. Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be we'll be previewing Evolution and Saturday night's main event, giving our predictions for that. Make sure you guys tune in and spread the word. Tell a friend. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest news and rumors. Say yes to No DQ, and I will see you all next time.